everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. Today we'll be making this birdhouse card. It uses primarily punches and a little design ingenuity, and let's get started making this card. I had spied a birdhouse across the street at my neighbor's, and I thought I can replicate the shape of that birdhouse. So what I did is I designed a template. This is available in a Word document on my blog, and hopefully pretty soon a PDF. And in order to make the birdhouse, what I did is I took a sheet of 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock and crumb cake and cut it at the 4.25 by 2 or by 4.25 by 11. So it's taking it and cutting it right down the middle and fold it in half. You want to take your bone folder and make sure to get the edge real nice. And then with the template, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and match up the right side of the point to the right side of the card, leaving a little flap over here of where the fold is, because we need to have the fold in order to get a hinge. So the left side will be trailing off over the fold. Take your pencil or a pen and trace around it and cut it out, and what you have is a shape that looks like this. On your extra piece of your cardstock then from the 8.5 by 11, take the template and trace out a full image and trim that out. And then we're going to take this over to the Big Shot, and using the lattice lace embossing folder, we're going to go ahead and make our design here for the front of the card. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got our the front of our birdhouse embossed, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use Tombow through the whole thing as far as my adhesive. And the reason why I like Tombow, especially when I have a couple of 3D things, is that sometimes with using the tape runner, it has a tendency to flatten down your embossed image. Not by a whole lot, but sometimes it does. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some Tombow on it. Tombow's a fairly strong adhesive, so you don't need a whole lot. And I'm going to line it up with my pointy edge on here. Okay, when you run your things through the Big Shot, sometimes what happens is it adjusts the size of your paper. It might be just slightly off, so even though that was the same template, because with the embossing it raises some of the paper, and so the size may be just slightly different. No biggie on this one. All I'm going to do is just take my scissors and trim off some of those things that aren't quite lining up. Pretty much concentrating more on the bottom of the card because the roof's going to cover up some of it. Let's see here. Get my brain to work. So again, you could just cover all of it up. The size of this template is slightly larger than the embossing folder, so you will have a little bit on one of the pointy ends that doesn't emboss. If that bothers you, you can turn around and re-emboss just that little bit, but really the roof's going to cover it up, so we don't need it. Okay, so there's the birdhouse so far. Next, with the roof, I've got 2 strips of 1 inch by 4.5 of cherry cobbler, and I thought I'd mix it up a little bit from my first card that looks like this, and I'm going to run my rooftop through the crimper just to give it another little added look to it. Okay, so when you have you got your 2 strips of 1 inch by 4.5, and we're going to interlock them at a 90-degree angle to kind of get us started, but then we're going to separate them out a little bit. So you'll keep playing with your rooftops until it covers it up like that, and then we'll glue it down. So I'll be back after I get that done. Okay, so I've glued down my roof. So that's the difference between having it crimped and not. Either one's cute. This one just adds that little extra. To make our birdhouse, the little housing hole in it, I've got my 1 3/8 hole punch. And we'll open up our little house here, and I'm going to go all the way in so that until the neck stops. And I'm going to center it, just kind of eyeball it, and pop that out. So cute. Next, we're going to take a piece of, this is Cajun Craze, and we're going to make this little decorative ring around the birdhouse opening. And I had seen this from another demonstrator, and I'm sorry, I don't know who to give credit for that. She had decorated that, and I thought that was so cute. So to make the ring, I'm taking my 1 3/8 inch punch and punch out my Cajun Craze, and then come in with the small scallop punch. And let's see here, that looks pretty good. Punch open my ring. And then I'm going to take my white gel pen and make some doodle dots around it. Just something that adds a little extra when you doodle dot. So this is a pretty fancy birdhouse. They've got doodle dots and a fancy opening. Okay, I'm going to let that sit aside to dry just for a second so I don't smudge my doodle dots on that. So while that's just taking a second to dry, I'm going to take my 2-step bird punch, and with the leftover strip of crumb cake that you have, I'm going to use that to punch out my bird images. Okay. So we're not going to use the leaf image, but we will go ahead and use the bird images from the punch. Okay, that should be nice and plenty dry. I'm going to flip this over on the back of our ring, and with, again, the Tombow glue, get it started here. Come on. Oh, goodness. Getting down towards the end, and oh goodness, now now I have a nice big glob of it. Oh goodness, just gonna take my good old fingers and we'll just use it up, girls and guys. There we go. Okay, now I'll put this so cracking myself up. We'll put this around the ring of our opening. And I'll break to go and wash my hands because otherwise I'll be super tacky. Just a second. Oh, you guys, I just had a laughing fit. That was so funny. Okay, so next we'll make our little robins. And to make our robins, we're going to need some Stampin' Spots. This is Pacific Point. And I've got my sponge daubers that are kind of color-coded. I'm a huge sponge dauber fan, and I like to have them. I have enough variety to get, to color code, or have the color tone stay. And the orange I'm using is Pumpkin Pie. So, with my ink, to make the robin, I'm just going to put a little orange on his belly. You could definitely use Whisper White cardstock too to make your little birds. I just thought, you know, I might as well use up the whole sheet of scrap paper, or the cardstock, while I have it. And I want the birds facing the opposite direction, so if all you have to do is face one way and flip the other one over. Again, we'll get his little underbelly here. Using sponging technique is so versatile. It just can do all sorts of cool little shading in a quick amount of time. And I'm going to switch it over to my blue tones and just blend it right in with your orange. And our little robins are taking shape. And I know that our Like for this one, it's kind of like a, you know, they're a couple, and if you're doing a male and female, obviously the color tones of the real birds are a little different, but I just liked it, how colorful both of the males are, so I'm making both of mine a male robin. Okay, let's keep this open for just a second. And we'll get our wings, same thing, make sure that they're going in the opposite direction. And I found I really do like the crumb cake to use as a base of these birds when I'm doing it, just because, you know, with the brown undertones that birds have, it's kind of nice and it blends real, I guess, realistically with it. Okay, so there's our little birdies, and I'm going to put a little eyeball on each of them. This is a Precise V7 marker. Okay, next we'll go ahead and on one of our birds, I'm going to pop its wing with a dimensional. Let's see here. There's really no right or wrong on the wings. On this time we'll have the fatty part of the wing heading upward. Do that. And on the other one, if my Tombow will play nicely with me, or should I say if I squeeze gently enough, there we go. So I'm going to make one, let's see, I'm going to make one kind of a flat, or one's not going to have a dimensional on it, and he's going to be on the inside, and the one with the dimensional is going to go on the outside. Okay, so we've got our little birdies made now. Got a piece of soft suede. I'm going to take my circle punch, same size, and punch one out. And I'm going to put that on the inside of our birdhouse. And to line that up perfectly, you can just lay this right over the hole that you made and then lift up your card. So cute. Alright, so I've already pre-punched from the two-step bird punch some old olive leaves, and we'll go ahead and get those down. Let's see here. I'll make this one go this way. Do this one. We'll have this one going up, kind of swoop in this direction. I didn't put anything on the bottom of the stems just yet because I thought that gives me a chance of trimming off the areas that I don't necessarily want to have shown. Sometimes I like them and some to show, and sometimes I don't. So I put another dimension on our bird that we've got the wing dimension on. Whoops. Let's see here. Move my leaf around just a little bit. Okay, and then on the inside, I'm going to have my bird kind of having a little peekaboo, so he's going to come in about halfway into the circle. Okay, so let's see. Put him down about right in there. Very cute. And we'll go ahead and get another leaf down on his, something for him to perch on. I always like having the leaf on it because it just seems like they're not left, just seems a little more natural to me when there's a little leaf on there. And then the last step to the card is to put a little sentiment on it. This one I have for the newlyweds, and I'm just going to, you know, again using Tombow all the way through. Put that on there. I'll come back and glue that down a little more securely, but that's our birdhouse card. So I hope you enjoy making this. Again, I'll have the Word document template on my blog site, and I hope you come and visit me. Thanks a lot, everybody. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.